I remember my mom saying, I was standing in the kitchen or around the kitchen area, and she will say, make yourself useful. And it's something simple that they're saying, but making yourself useful, that's what's ingrained in you. How do I help? I cannot just stand here and be. I have to be useful. I have to be helpful.
So
So
true.
if you're conditioned that way since you're little, to be
Mm-hmm.
useful, to be helpful, fast forward a few decades later, that's what's ingrained in you. So how do you do a complete shift of that mindset of, it's okay, I'm helping myself by sitting here, by reading a book, by enjoying my cup of tea, by going for a walk, by taking that workout, I am helping myself.
Mm.
And that it's a hard shift to do.
Welcome to the Self-Care Goddess podcast, where healing stories, practical self-care strategies, and science-backed tools to regulate stress, feel calm, grounded, and energized come together to help you reclaim your vitality. I'm your host, Rita Savoya, holistic nutritionist, trauma-informed breathwork coach, and founder of Breathwork Barista. This podcast is for women who are ready to restore their energy and radiance, reconnect with their bodies, reawaken their inner power, and redefine self-care as a way of being. Through science meets soul practices, restorative mind-body tools, and real stories of transformation, we'll explore how true well-being can help you live with more joy, vibrant health, and authentic connection to yourself and those you love. Take a deep breath in, let it go, and let's begin. Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Self-Care Goddess podcast with the featured UpliftHer Leadership Series. Before I introduce my incredible guest today, let's get into coherence with our heart, our mind, and our bodies by following the breath, going into the body through the nose, and then let it go with a gentle sigh through the mouth. If you feel comfortable, you can lower your gaze and just look at a fixed point, or even close your eyes to really tune out the outer world and tune in with your inner world, following those deeper and slower than usual inhales through the nose, feeling the expansion of the breath, and then slowly letting it go with a gentle sigh through the mouth. In through the nose, feel the expansion, and then let it go with a sigh. See if you can do a couple of rounds of these on your own. And while you do, check in with your body. Are there certain parts of your body that may be asking for a little attention? Maybe they're a little stiff, a little sore, there's a little tension that is felt in that part. I invite you to channel the inhales and exhales into those areas. The exhales alone can help you loosen those areas up, help you release some of that tension. And now I invite you to channel the breaths into the area of the heart. So allowing those inhales and exhales to flow in and out of this beautiful organ that's keeping you alive. Where attention goes, energy flows. So let's energize our hearts here. And in this moment of incredible gratitude for your heart, I invite you to visualize someone that you're grateful for today. Visualize this person as if they were right here in front of you. And I invite you to send them all the love, the gratitude, and the appreciation. Let it radiate from your heart to theirs. And now I invite you to send that love back to yourself. Send it to you for being here, not giving up, for doing the work, for taking some time out for yourself. On your next inhale, flutter your eyes open and come back to us. Thank you for participating in that quick coherence technique. as part of the Heart Math Institute. So today's guest on the UpliftHer Leadership Series is someone who helps people step into their leadership, not by becoming someone else, but by becoming more of who they truly are. Karen Wonders is the president of Luce Consulting, an engineer and executive MBA turned executive leadership coach. After years of building technical solutions, she now supports technical experts and founders in bridging the gap between being exceptional at what they do and truly owning their value. Rather than offering a one-size-fits-all playbook, Karen works as a mirror, helping her clients access a deeper sense of clarity, confidence, and authenticity so they can lead in a way that feels aligned, intentional, and sustainable. Her work is especially impactful for those navigating growth, leadership, and the desire to succeed without burning out or losing themselves in the process. And beyond her work, Karen brings a sense of fun and individuality. She likes to say she's a 170 Lego bricks tall. She unapologetically enjoys Christmas Hallmark movies all year long. Yes, and why not? And if her life had a soundtrack, it would be My Way by Frank Sinatra. Karen, welcome to the Self-Care Goddess podcast and the featured Uplift Her Leadership Series. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for the great introduction, Rita. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me today.
Yes, thank you for coming on. I'm so interested to hear about the shift and of your career. This is also something that I resonate with. It's actually my second career as well. And so that's why when I go into high schools and I tell these kids, don't worry, don't freak out too much about what you want to do, because look at me. I ended up changing. So tell us a little more about your personal journey and what has influenced the mission that you're on today.
It's a great question. And I feel like such a long story, but I'll try to make it short and brief. So, like you said, I'm an engineer turned leadership coach. And in a way, those are the opposite ends, like a 180 turn that I did on my career a few years ago. And I went into engineering because I was always great with numbers. And like you said, when you talk to somebody in high school who wants to do for their career, you usually lean into what you're good at, what your good grades are in. So for me, it was STEM, science, technology, and numbers. And so I decided to join engineering and be an engineer. And as I went through my career, I realized that I wanted to make a difference. And that has always been a thread throughout my entire career. It's like I want to make a difference. And so when I joined different organizations, it was with that alignment of, is the company also making a difference? Not necessarily in a large global scale, but are they making a difference within the community, within the industry, so on and so forth. So I was lucky enough to enter the leadership track fairly early in my career. Probably after a few years after graduating, I was promoted into leadership. And so that's where I started finding a different way to be. I was an expert at what I did, but I needed to learn all those new skills on how to be a leader. And I read all the books. I was trying to be somebody I wasn't. I was trying to emulate all these great leaders, all these great books that I was reading, and realizing that perhaps that was not me. And so when you ask what brought me here to today, is that same thread of I wanted to make a difference. And I was feeling stuck in my career. Not because of the organization or anything like that. It was just like I felt like truly stuck, like that gearbox, those gears were not meshing at all. And I needed a change. And when I stepped back and realized what I enjoyed truly was working with people, I was working with my team. I was successful because I was building very successful teams. I was nurturing people, and I wanted to continue doing that. And that's when I stepped into coaching and I fell in love with it. The same way I fell in love with the software that I did when I started my career, I fell in love with coaching. And I decided to pursue it full time and start the business and make that difference and seeing how 1 hour of a coaching session can make a huge difference for a person.
Right. That's amazing. I love that. Thank you, Karen. So, for anyone listening or watching this podcast, what are some of the signs that you were having that were that were making you feel stuck, or that you were feeling stuck, or maybe even before feeling actually stuck, because that's sort of that end, the thing that really pushed you and to make you realize that no, there needs to be a change. Were there any sort of signs that we can watch out for before that you were feeling? Signs or symptoms, maybe even physical, mental, emotional?
They were all of them, honestly. And it started probably at the beginning of the year. Like I make the switch at the end of the year toward in November time. So at the beginning of the year, I was feeling that I need something new. I always used to say I get bored easily, but what I realized afterwards was that I wasn't really fully fulfilled in what I was doing. And I was equating that to being bored or not to being challenged enough. So I was always seeking for the next new thing that I needed to do. And so that's the habit I had. It was like, oh, I've reached a point where I'm no longer challenged. I need something new. And it will either be I will be managing a different department, I will be doing a different project, or I'll be looking for a different opportunity. And so this time, same habit. Let's go look for a different opportunity. And nothing was pulling me. I don't know if you've ever felt that inside of yourself when something pulls you in or something completely pulls you away. So nothing was pulling me in. I was reading all these job descriptions and being, I can do this for another year, perhaps two, and I will be bored again. And I don't want that. I'm at a point where I can no longer do that. So I took time to reflect. I had a coach myself and I took time to reflect and figure out what is it that I wanted for myself, because all this time it was probably going on that line of what is the next thing to do, what is the acceptable thing, or what is the norm within my career or where I can go next. And that's really when I discovered that I wanted to make that difference. And when I made that decision, it was as if somebody was pouring light in. And that's what I named the company, La Luz. It means the light in
Right.
Spanish, because
Yeah.
it was truly like somebody was pouring light on me. The ideas kept on coming. My mood changed completely. I was so excited. I was like giddy like a little kid. Like, I get to do this. I get to build. I get to create. I get to do what I really want to do, which is make that difference. And so, from the physical standpoint, I noticed the difference in myself from being that muted, dim light into truly like just coming in and just sparkling, because I knew I was doing what I wanted to do and what I was meant to do. And before that, feeling like I was being dragged, nothing was of interest. And within me, even like the low energy, perhaps I was working harder than I needed to, and feeling that drag within myself.
Wow. So was there a fear, a specific fear that maybe you can share with us? That was sort of, I know you went all in, obviously, but kind of, did you have any fears, or you knew this was it, that you needed to do this?
When I made a decision, a few people asked me that. It's like, are you scared? And I was not. And it's not to say that I didn't know it was going to be a lot of work. I knew it was a tall order that I was doing. I knew I will have to wear like every single hat, and I would probably have to work more hours than I was working in my corporate job. But I was not scared. And that was also a signal to me that I was on the right path. For me, my gut instinct has always guided me. And when I felt that pull in my gut of saying, this is not for you, I have listened. And when I haven't listened, I've also paid the price later. So I have learned to listen to my gut instinct. And when things were feeling flowing, that gearbox kept on going and moving smoothly, there was no fear. I knew that it was going to be hard, but I wasn't scared.
Yeah, and I love that, because oftentimes people ask me, if you would win the lottery, would you still be doing what you were doing? I'm like, yep, I would. I'd probably have, a bunch of other people I can delegate a lot of things that I don't enjoy doing right now with the money to that with the lottery, but I would still be doing what I'm doing. So your comment, how you just wake up happy and want to do this because you get to do this as an entrepreneur is, it resonates with me so much. So what was the biggest challenge that you faced doing the switch, going from corporate to entrepreneur so far, I guess, because I'm sure there'll be more, but in terms of
Well, there's
so far,
challenges that show up all the time, of
I
course.
know.
It's like, depends on
I
which
know.
hat you're wearing, right?
True.
So I would say at the beginning, the biggest challenge was on my network. I realized that I was very well connected within the organizations that I work for.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a very dense network. And I realized that I cannot have a dense network when it comes to being an entrepreneur. I had to expand and stretch. And I'm an introvert by nature. So to me, the idea of, oh, I have to be in these rooms and start talking about what I do and who I help and how I do it, to me, that was probably one of the biggest challenges at the beginning. And like everything is a skill that you have to build. So at the beginning, I will practice before I will go to networking. Fast forward to today, to me, it's very natural to walk in, be curious about the person in front of me, talk to them, see what's happening. And I feel at ease. At the beginning, not so much. It was more a little harder, but I had to put myself out there because I knew that visibility was key when it came to building the business. If I wasn't telling people what I was doing, who I was helping, then how would they find me? How would they know who I was?
Mm-hmm. So true. I love that. So you found your niche. Well, you knew who you wanted to work with right away, and then start telling people that you're doing this so that you're more visible and you're top of mind. That's a really good tip. Any other tip? What would you tell someone that is thinking of this, listening to this, watching this, and saying, I'm feeling this. I'm feeling that this gut feeling that I need to pursue something else, something more meaningful. What would you tell them?
I would say first to truly know what you want. Do you want this for yourself or do you want this because you're being told to do it? The big difference in there is that the expectation or is that truly what you want to do? If it's truly what you want to do, I would say, I know I just jumped in with everything in. And I know I was privileged in doing that, but not everybody has the luxury to do that. So I would say do your research. If you know you want to do something else, start seeing what's out there, who's the competition, who else is doing this. How are you going to be different from somebody else? Because when we're in a world that there's a lot of people who do similar things, how are you going to bubble up to the surface? How are you going to connect with somebody and they want to work with you? So I would say if you want to do something entrepreneurial, stay on the side. If you have a full-time job, figure out how you can dedicate X amount of hours, be committed to it and say, I can commit 2 hours a day or 2 hours a week, whatever is good for you, or moving towards that goal. And start doing the research, start figuring out who you're going to be serving, who's out there, what's the market, and then that's when you start understanding, yes, this can be a business. It's not just a dream. This can truly be a business that I can grow over time.
And would you reckon, because there's sort of two schools of thoughts, right? And as you mentioned, if you're privileged to go and go all in right away, that's probably the best way to do it. But what if somebody, maybe they can or they can't financially? Would you tell them to do it part time first and then kind of see if they like it, and then because it is hard to do two jobs essentially in one. But how would you recommend it, or just make up your mind, know what you want, do this research, and then go all in? What would you recommend?
I'm a very practical person, so and realistic. So to me, it's like if the numbers add up for you to be able to have some time to figure this out without income coming in, then go for it. But if you do have responsibilities and you do have that financial strain, then let's figure out how you can do it. Because the biggest thing is knowing what you want. If you know what you want, you know you have to go from here to here. And you can take little steps to get towards that. It might take you a little longer than someone else, but you will get there if you're consistent and you keep going and keep moving up. But to me, it's like, let's be practical first. Let's be realistic. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself or any responsibilities that you have, and then move forward. Start doing it on the side and commit to it because you might not have enough time to commit to it.
Yes, exactly. And speaking of commitment, I mean, entrepreneurship is like, woo, one day, literally, sometimes it's even hourly. You're like, yes, this is great. It's working. I love it. And then the next day or the next hour, you're like, should I get a full-time job? Should I go back to 9 to 5? At least 9 to 5, as you mentioned earlier, you're done at 5 o'clock, right? Or you're not working weekends. But obviously we love it, and for us, it's not work all the time. But how do you stay motivated through this roller coaster of a ride that we call entrepreneurship?
And it is a roller coaster. And I think this week I have gone through those up and downs. Last month, it was a lot of work that I was doing towards things that are going to come into fruition in months to come. But when you don't see the outcome right away, sometimes that can bring you down. And you're like, I'm doing all this work. Is it going to translate? And so, to me, what I do is I go back to why I do what I do. And I truly do that. It's like, I want to make a difference and I want to bring this knowledge to the world of how you can be an authentic leader. How can you help others? And to me, you don't need to have a management title to be a leader. It's like, how can you learn those skills through your entire career, regardless of your age, and make a difference to someone else? Because sometimes when you don't have a good leader around you, your days are a little better than there are other days. So you do want to have people who are robust in those leadership umbrellas. And so I also make sure that I'm taking care of me. I follow a lot how I feel and what my body's telling me. And if my body is like, I'm exhausted and my brain is like ping ponging, I don't know if you can figure out like that ping pong. I know it's time for me to take a 2 minute breath, calm myself down, and then engage back in. Or if I'm truly feeling like I'm not engaged, I'm not in it, let's go for a walk, let's get some fresh air. But what are the things that sort of re-energize me to get back into it? But going back to why I do what I do, that helps me tremendously.
That, yeah, it's so true. And speaking of taking care of yourself, have you ever experienced burnout, Karen? And if so, what are some of the signs and symptoms that you had, so maybe we can watch out for?
I wouldn't say that I reached the complete burnout state, but I was definitely on my way there. And this was before, quite a few years ago, before I had my daughter. I was in an executive role. I was running half the company at that point. So I was attached to, back then there was no iPhone, though the iPhone had just come out actually, to my Palm Pilot and my Blackberry. I was truly attached to it. I remember my husband saying, I'm going to throw it in the ocean during our vacation if you bring that with you, because I was so attached to it. And
Right.
so I realized that I was so intense into what I was doing and I was not letting it go. I was not keeping time to myself. I wasn't there. I wasn't present. I could be having dinner with someone and my mind was on, how am I going to fix this issue that it's going on at work? And when I realized that I was not present, that I was not engaging with people around me and connecting, I knew I had to change. Was it was a like it was like bells were ringing there. It was like, I can't do this. I'm going to burn out and it's going to be very hard for me to come back from burnout. So I need to make a change there.
Right, right. And how do you balance, or maybe did you in your previous career, and how are you doing it now, this work-life balance? I mean, is there even such a thing as work-life balance? What are your
I
thoughts
always
on that?
ask, what does mean to you? Because it's different for all of us, right? It's not 50-50. As an entrepreneur, it's very hard to have like a 50% work or 50% personal time. There are times and days that you are probably 70-30. And how are you managing during 70-30? And for me is understanding what my zones are. I know that there are times where I'm going to be in that 80-20 zone. I have to drive through this. It's not permanent. But for the next week, I have all these engagements. I have all this speaking. I have to be on top of things. It's going to be in the morning. It's going to be in the evening. And I have to get through that. And my family time is not going to be as high. having those conversations with my family. It's like, I have all this stuff on the plate. How do we figure out dinners? How do we figure out who's going to drop up who's getting organized ahead of time so things are not as crazy? And then there is the opposite. There is the 2080s where I can say, I need a break. I have been going on high gear and I'm going to take today to go for a walk by the lake and breathe in some fresh air and get some sun and come back home and do what I have to do for work and then spend some time with my daughter, spend some time with my husband. So I feel that it's very hard to say I will always be on 50-50. It to me is more, well, who am I going to be when I'm in the high zone and who am I going to be when I'm in the low zone? When I'm on vacation, am I just going to say goodbye to work and be 100% present with family and friends?
I love that. I love that, having that distinction for sure. And also having just self-compassion, right? That some days are going to be better than others at balancing this,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
Some days
Yeah,
not as well, or maybe even weeks, or maybe seasons, right? I know a lot of
exactly.
people that are in like accounting or tax season, and they know that it's definitely their busy season, so they take time off after or before.
Exactly. And I feel like it's back to knowing what's ahead of you. Because if you go in without expectation and you're just going to take it in, that's what's going to overwhelm you completely. But if you say, like the tax season, you know that tax deadline is coming in and everybody's going to be bringing in their taxes at that time, it will be crazy to schedule a lot of dinners and family outings and this and that during that time because you know that you're already at your max. So it is also like pulling back and knowing, okay, no, I can push those forward. I don't have to do that right now. I can push them forward to in a couple of weeks. I will do them, not now. It's a yes, but not yes right now.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And not feeling guilty about it, because I
Exactly.
tend
Yeah.
to
We
feel
also
that.
feel so guilty, exactly, as we feel selfish when we choose
Mm.
ourselves. And reality is that when we choose ourselves, we're better people because we're in a better state and we can give back better, we can love better, we can engage better.
Why do you think that? Why do you think it's so hard for us to choose ourselves? Or most of us feel guilty for choosing ourselves, most women.
I feel sometimes it might be past coming in. It's the way that we've been conditioned. Um, I remember my mom saying, I was standing in the kitchen or around the kitchen area, and she will say, make yourself useful. And it's something simple that they're saying, but making yourself useful, that's what's ingrained in you. How do I help? I cannot just stand here and be. I have to be useful. I have to be helpful.
So
So
true.
if you're conditioned that way since you're little, to be
Mm.
useful, to be helpful, fast forward a few decades later, that's what's ingraining you. So how do you do a complete shift of that mindset of, it's okay, I'm helping myself by sitting here, by reading a book, by enjoying my cup of tea, by going for a walk, by taking that workout, I am helping myself. And that it's a hard shift to do.
Right, right. That stillness or a pause or a reset or a recovery, all of that stuff is still productive. And that's a huge something that high performers, especially like just women that are so right, like they're so used to doing it all, getting it all, right? That pausing is actually seen as negative, as a negative thing, as opposed to a reset or a recovery. But if you think of high performance athletes, right? They're performing at high levels. I mean, recovery is even more important than
Huge.
performance. So they take that really, really seriously. But I don't think we've done that yet. Maybe you think it's getting better?
I feel there
We're getting
is
better at
more information out there about it. Probably
Yeah.
not as much in the corporate world. I notice in the entrepreneurial world, there is a lot of information about taking care of yourself because you are wearing every single hat. And that's a big part of it. Your business is going to be better if you take care of yourself because you are the business, really.
Mm.
So I think in this world, definitely that is more of a prominent idea of taking care of yourself. In the corporate world, I don't think that idea has spread as much. Um, it is more about like you said, pausing is equal to not being productive. And to me, it's like I have a clear mind, I can make better decisions.
Yeah, exactly. It's a win-win when when you actually pause. And that's why I love doing the work that I do, because we actually work with unprogramming those limiting beliefs, essentially, right? Or those programs that were unfortunately put in us the first 6 7 years of our life. Is where, we actually come into this world. If you think of an iTunes library, it's empty, and then, or Spotify, really, and then you start downloading your or uploading your music to it, and it's the music that our parents, programs that our parents are playing, and then also teachers. Like, it's so crazy how influenced we are, but we can unlearn, we can unprogram these things. And that's the beauty of the work that is out there right now. And I'm using it with breathwork coaching, which is great. Using breathwork to help you get into that coaching relationship, and then use that to undo what our parents did. And you know what? We can't even blame them, right, Karen? They had no idea. They were just doing what they were taught, right? I'm sure your grandmother said that to your mom, right? And so that's why she passed it down to you. So that was definitely, we
And
can't
it's all
even.
about learning, like you said, unlearning, learning. When you
Yeah.
have that learning mindset, then things become so different because you see them from a different light, different perspective. It wasn't them trying to ruin your life. Obviously, they were doing with the knowledge that they had, and you
Yeah.
know different. So how
Yeah.
can you move forward with that different
Yeah.
understanding, with that different learning, with that different knowledge?
Yes, for sure. So my next question is something that I had no idea that I was going to ask on this podcast, but it keeps popping up. And so I actually put it as a question, and it has to do with feminine and masculine energy. And I'm just curious, Karen, in your previous career in the corporate world, were you operating more from a masculine energy versus a feminine energy? And now I'm curious, in your entrepreneurial journey, where do you think you're working from which side more? And masculine meaning, so I had another guest on here, and she gave me a really cool analogy. So I was like, oh, I'm going to use this one. Masculine is basically, let's say you're going through a forest. You need the machete, right, to kind of cut through the forest and kind of see where it is that you are going. But so that's masculine energies, the doing, the implementing. And the feminine energy is more like the compass, right, guiding you where you need to go. So it's kind of more of the nurturing, and so less of the implementing and doing. Just curious if what you had before and you have now, and if it changed.
I feel that it changed at the beginning of my career when I was reading all those books and those biographies, all those leadership books from mainly men, because there weren't that many books by women leaders. And I was trying to emulate who they were. I was totally having that masculine energy of, hey, we got to do this. Let's go. Let's move it. And then following those steps and then realizing that that was not me. And when I switch into that nurturing mode, that understanding, that being present, that connecting, and the person being more important than the system or the technology that I was doing, I guess that's what you will equate to a feminine energy to a certain extent. I found myself feeling like myself, not feeling exhausted because I was pretending to be someone else for 10 hours a day. I was coming home being myself. And if I fast forward to today as an entrepreneur, I find out probably I'm like in the yin yang there. It's like you do both.
Mm.
You, when I work with clients in coaching, a lot of the time is having that calming presence for them so that they can see myself as a mirror and we can get through all those roadblocks, like you mentioned, those limiting beliefs to get you to where you ultimately want to go. And so I find myself in those situations being more of a calming presence where I'm figuring out what am I doing next, how am I pivoting, what am I adapting, how am I moving forward. That's definitely more of the let's wear this hat of like I need to be a strategic leader and keep going forward. So I guess you will equate that more with the masculine energy.
Interesting. Yeah, I just found that really fascinating that every woman that's been on this podcast has had some sort of experience in being more on the masculine and then having that shift to embrace the feminine, and including myself. And that's why I found it really fascinating that most women have to go through that, which is really interesting. And hopefully future women in leadership don't have to do it. That's my
Just be
hope in
yourself.
mind. Exactly. Yes,
So you have to
exactly
think,
that.
or maybe it's okay to have the masculine energy too, because
Yes. Oh,
it is characteristic within you that it's in you. So it's accepting it and knowing
yeah.
that it's part of you.
Actually, Karen, that is a great point, because yes, we do need both. We'll need
Mhm.
both. But what I found was, this anecdotal research, I guess, through this podcast and in myself too, is that most women, even in their earlier careers, as you said yourself, will there is a period in their career where they're working more out of their masculine versus their feminine, and there is that disconnect and there is that stress because it's leaning more towards the other one side. So to sort of be balanced and tap into your masculine when needed, but also into your feminine, and not be, ashamed of it or be perceived as overly emotional because you're in touch with your feminine, right? Taking your time with decisions and all of that. So yes, we definitely need both. We definitely need both.
I
So
guess
in
it's
terms of,
embracing both.
yeah, sorry?
Embracing them both.
Exactly, embracing them both within your authentic self,
So,
right? Because if you, so I'll give you an example. What happened to me when I was in Dubai doing the consulting work, I did find that because oftentimes I was the only woman in either the boardroom or the meeting room, or that I was wearing suits way more than I think I would have liked. I was dressing the part, more masculine, and then it wasn't until I came back here to Toronto to take care of my mom and help her with her mental health and other health issues that she was having, that I was really embracing my nurturing side, and which is more my feminine side. And it felt so good. And I was like, wow, because I was so out of it for so long. Yeah.
it's just having them both. The same, I guess, is the work-life balance to a certain extent. It's like,
Yes.
where are you tapping in?
Exactly. Yes. So tell us a little more about what you do for self care. How do you take care of yourself to help you stay grounded and energized through this entrepreneurial journey that you're
I was introduced to meditating a while
on?
ago. And before every coaching session, I meditate, or before a speaking engagement, I will meditate just to ground myself and clear my mind and connect with that person. One thing that I do is like, you're probably familiar with the emojis on your phone. And there's one little emoji that has the little hearts around them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's what I picture before my coaching sessions. It's like, that's me given my heart to my clients so that we can connect and we can have a good grounded session. So that's what I do to keep me grounded before I do any coaching. Throughout the days, I love reading. If you asked me this years ago, I used to read to learn, and I have learned to read to enjoy and to be so transported to a different world. And I find that when I spend those 15, 20 minutes just reading a book, like the Hallmark movies, it calms me down. It kind of just takes me out of wherever I am. And I'm ready for the next thing that I need to do, whether it's being at home or going to the next thing. And those 15 minutes, I find that they're golden for me when I read a book that I'm enjoying.
Yeah. So are you reading fiction mostly?
I really like the romantic novels.
No.
I find that my brain doesn't engage for business related things. My brain doesn't engage to solve a problem. I'm truly immersed in the story and where the characters are going and what they're going through. And that's where I engaged in. And that's what really clears my mind. So those are the ones that I enjoy to just clear my mind. Of course, I read for business, I read for learning and other things, but the one that truly like brings down the level is those romantic novels.
Nice, very nice. So what's your one rule, if any, if there was one, that you've joyfully broken to be where you are now?
One rule. That's interesting. I don't know if I have rules, to be quite honest.
I like that. Okay, nice.
I always say I don't like boxes. Like, I never see myself in a box. To me, it's just me. It's just Karen. So yes, I happen to have adjectives attached to myself, but it's just me. So I don't like the image of a box. I don't like being surrounded by a box or putting other people's in a box because you lose your voice, you lose yourself. So I wouldn't say that I have rules aside from the regular rules of, like, being a good person and treating everybody kindly and with respect, seeing your side of the story before I make any assumptions or making the judgment for myself and not let others tell me how to treat someone else.
I love that. I love that. So, Karen, if you could have lunch with any woman, past or present, who would it be and why?
I love to chat with my maternal grandmother. I realized, like, she passed away when I was probably 12 or 13 years old, but I never really had good conversations with her to understand where she came from, what she
Mm,
did, how did she become who she was. She was such a strong woman, especially in a Hispanic environment where it's more of a man dominated environment, but she was the matriarch. Like, she was the one who said what we had to do and set the moral compass, and she was the one everybody follows. So I would love to have a conversation with her and to get to know her a little bit more.
get to know abuelita.
Exactly.
Amazing. So, what, speaking of books, we spoke earlier, is there a book or a quote or a mantra that has profoundly impacted your life, Karen?
There's one book, it was more like the author of the book that completely changed how I see things. And her name is Maya Jichik. And her book is, I'm looking up because it's up in my bookshelf, is that The Possible Self. And it is exactly what you said. It is like we grow up with these constructs, these limiting beliefs of what the world should be. And in her book, she teaches you how to get through those constructs, how to open the lid, and how to bring in new constructs that allow you to be yourself. Because at the core of it, we all want to have intrinsic value. We want to love ourselves intrinsically and value ourselves intrinsically instead of seeking it from external sources. So that's what her book is about. And when I did the process a few times, I found myself completely calming myself into loving who I was and valuing who I was, and knowing that others might not like me, might not understand me, but I do. And so my mom used to say, we're not all chocolate bonbons that everybody loves us. Some people are allergic to chocolate. So that's what I see. It's like, okay, I'm not for everybody, but for those who I am for, I will love to connect and I will love to be with you and I will love to make a difference.
So cool. I like your mom. She's got very nice saying. What if you can give yourself one piece, your younger self, one piece of advice? What would it be? And you can choose which younger self.
There's so many things that I will tell my younger self, but the main one I would say coming out of university is to don't follow somebody else's footsteps, to create or follow your own path. It is great to learn from others and see how others doing, learn from others' mistakes. I truly believe in that. When somebody gives you advice, understand where it's coming from, but take it for you and how it fits for yourself and what fits good for you, and then take your next step that way. I find that when we follow somebody else's footsteps, it's so hard. It's not you. It's not your stride. It's not your pace. And then you end up losing yourself because you're following somebody else. So that's what I would say is like, yes, be in learning mode, learn as much as you can from others and what others has done, but take it for yourself and how that works for yourself and then make a choice.
That's so valuable, especially now, this time and age, so many different influencers or influences that
Hmm.
it can be quite easy to lose yourself. So, yes, that's a beautiful, beautiful advice that I give my 20-year-old too. For sure. So, Karen, what does success mean to you right now at this stage of your life and career?
For me, success is about giving back. For me, it's about being able to make that difference, being able to give back to the community. Now I have the flexibility to help more charities and organizations, not just monetarily, but with my time and with my effort. So I'm enjoying mentoring young engineers as well to help them sort of see how their careers can shape, how things can come differently. So take that anxiety out of the way, because when you're young, you feel like you need to have everything figured out. When you don't, you can truly figure it out as you go sometimes. And so that's success to me, to be able to make a difference, to be able to connect with people, to be able to have those conversations, give myself, understand what's going on, and see how I can keep moving forward with that.
Beautiful, for sure. I love that. So, what's next on your bucket list, Karen? And you can choose personal or business immediately, and then let's say 10 years from now.
I would say that immediately, I'm truly looking forward to our trip in the summer to LA. I have to pick up my daughter. She spends the summer there with her grandparents and her dad. So I'm looking forward to picking her up and enjoying the California sun in August, which is lovely at that time of the year. And just having some time to myself, and then spending a couple of days with my daughter, just the two of us, just spending some time, girl time together. And for 10 years from now, so 10 years from now will be what, 2036? So I would say that I would like the company to be at a place where it doesn't need me, where I can have the flexibility to continue growing the business, but for it to be working on its own, to having additional team members, additional business coming in that is not tied to myself. So I feel like that's in 10 years, I will definitely like to be there so that I can have more time to give back to the community and more time to figure out what I want to do in the next decade as well.
Beautiful. Love it. Love it. So, here are the fun rapid fire questions.
Ooh, let's see.
So don't overthink it, whatever comes to mind. Just a nice, fun little light way to leave the conversation. So, what is one word to describe you as a leader, Karen?
Confident.
If your leadership style were a dance move, what would it be?
Waltz.
Hmm. Morning person or night owl?
Definitely a morning person. I go to bed very early.
What time? What time do you go to
Oh, I'm asleep by like 10:30 the latest.
Right. Okay. Actually, that's been and for me, that's early. Yeah. Because I used to be like 11:30, 12. But can I tell you, I feel like $1,000,000 when I get a good night's sleep.
Makes a
So
difference.
I know exactly. Morning person. Oh, sorry. Coffee, tea, or something else. Mountains or oceans?
Definitely oceans. I love the water. It calms me down. It helps me think. It refreshes me. Definitely the ocean.
Pizza or pasta?
That's a tough one. I would say pizza. If I can pick my toppings, I will definitely say pizza.
Yes, you can, for sure. And if you were a kitchen appliance, which one would you be and why?
Hmm. The one that comes to mind is a stand mixer. I love baking, and it's so versatile. You can do so many things. And I love the chemistry behind baking, that you can put all these ingredients together, put them in the oven, change the temperature, and something delicious comes out. So I would say a standing mixer.
Yes, thank you. What's your oddly specific superpower? Like always finding the best parking spot or picking the fastest grocery line? Do you have one?
My daughter and I joke about this, but it happens every single time. we go to a place, whether it's a restaurant or a store or something, there's nobody. Like we walk in and there's literally nobody. 5 minutes later, it's full of people. And we always joke that we bring the people in. And that
Wow.
has happened at Starbucks, at pizza places in New York City, when there's been nobody, and all of a sudden we turn around, it's full, a little cafe in a Central Park corner. We went in because there was nobody, and then all of a sudden it was full of people. So that seems to
Wow.
happen to us.
You should be asking for some commissions or something.
We're like, we need to figure out how to monetize that
Yes,
superpower.
exactly. Yes. That's awesome. If you could instantly master one new skill, Karen, just like that, what would it be?
Knitting. I have never been able to knit or crochet or to do any of those crafts. So I would love to learn how.
Very cool. So if you could gift, last question, if you can gift every woman listening or watching this podcast one thing, tangible or not. So think of Oprah. Oprah was more tangible. You win a car, and you win a car, and you win a car, but you can give something that's not tangible. What would it be, Karen?
I would say quiet confidence. That's definitely one thing that I work with my clients and I'm passionate about is having that quiet confidence that it's grounded, it's calm, you know why you're making the decision that you're making, and you're being yourself at the same time.
I like it. So it's quiet because what's the difference between quiet?
It's quiet because it's calm. It's you're not shouting through the roofs, let's go north. You're having a conversation and say, north is what makes the most sense. How are you influencing others to go with you north? And it's having that confidence, that presence that others are going to follow because they trust you, because you're not shouting through the roofs or through the megaphone, let's go north.
I love that. And do I dare say that it sounds more feminine than masculine energy? Not to say it's
Yes.
gender, but in terms of energy behind that.
Yes, because it's calm and it's yourself. It's
Mhm.
coming from a place where you know that you are heading the right way. It's very hard to know 100% that you're doing the right thing, but you know that you're going the right way.
I love that. And can I say that you exude that confidence, Karen?
Thank you.
You totally do. It's such an amazing match, and that's why you're so happy doing what you're doing. It's so authentically you, this quiet
Thank you.
confidence.
That
I've
means a
never,
lot.
I've
Thank
never
you.
heard of this, so I say write a book about this. I'll read it.
There's
Quiet.
too many ideas. I don't know if I'll ever write a book, but there's lots of ideas there.
Well, you heard it right here, everybody, on the Uplift Her Leadership Series. But thank you. Maybe we'll have you on the Self Care Goddess podcast and talk about this quiet confidence and get into some of the details on how to adopt it and as a leadership strategy. I like that. Maybe we can do
I
that.
love that idea. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you, Karen, so much for being here, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to share your personal journey. It's been such a delight listening to it, hearing your stories. Thank you for the tips as well. And I am so grateful that you said yes and that our paths have crossed and that we're
Yes.
in each other's network. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Have a beautiful rest of the day.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to the Self Care Goddess podcast. If today's episode inspired you, share it with another woman who's ready to reclaim her vitality and lead from within. To continue your journey, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and connect with me on ritasavoya.com. Until next time, remember, self care isn't selfish, it's your superpower. Take a deep breath in, exhale, and keep rising. Ciao for now.